Australia, the lucky country. A new day dawns in Melbourne, Victoria, the home of equine excellence. Most are still asleep, but for two champions their day has well and truly begun. In just over 14 hours' time, they will seek Group 1 glory again in the $400,000 Victoria Cup. We've been lucky enough to get a unique insight into their preparation and access that's never been available before. Mark, is it noticeable to the eye the improvement from last week to this? Can you tell that he's come on?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, more is just the way he's been, Greg, his demeanour and the way he's acting. He appears to be very well.
On a Group 1 day like this, what do you do differently to any other day, and therefore would he know that it's a big day ahead, or?
Yeah, I think he'll pick it up through the day. He won't be out for as long in the paddock, and this morning's work will be pretty light for him. So, yeah, I think he'll pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty intelligent, this guy, isn't he?
Oh, very intelligent horse. Yeah, lovely horse to work with.
So what will you do this morning? You'll take him out and just do what you'd normally do, say, on a race day like New Zealand Cup Day?
Well, I was just going to take him out and give him a light jog and a little canter just for a mile or a mile and a half, and just quietly. So I don't think I did that with him on Cup morning, but yeah.
Do you pretty much follow the same routine, Mark, with your Group 1 horses, or is he different to others?
Oh no, pretty much follow the same routine. Nothing sort of set with me. I just do what I think they need, and each horse is different, and I think that's a key of being a successful trainer.
Mark, I suppose when you've been to as many big Group 1 days as you have been, you just treat it like any other race day?
Yes, you do, Greg. Yeah, you pretty well know your format and what you've got to do, and get there on the night, and hopefully you've done all your homework right, and the night goes according to plan. He had a solid hit out last week in the Ballarat Cup, and in hindsight I wondered if it might have been a bit tough on him, but I actually think it's done him the world of good, so I'm pleased we took that course with him, and because he'll need to be 100% tonight.
So what's his preparation during the day now? He has had a little bit of light work. What's the format from here till when he gets on the truck?
Yeah, he's out in the paddock now, Greg, and he'll come in about an hour and a half. He'll get groomed up and popped away in his box, and he'll spend most of the afternoon in his box. He'll have lunch and come back in probably around about 4 o'clock mark, and you get prepared to be put on the float, so have his bandages on, his race halter, and groomed up, and he'll be all spick and span ready for tonight.
What about for you? What happens? We're getting to about the middle part of the morning. What do you do for the remainder of the day? Is form part of it? Do you look at it? Do you start coming up with a race plan?
Yes, we'll groom them up a bit later on, and probably go and just have a little light lunch, get back to the room, and yeah, just go over the form, and make sure that the choices you're making are confident in the choices you're going to make in regards to driving them. You've got to have a plan B, and if plan A doesn't sort of work out the way you think it's going to, so yeah, it's important that you cover aspects of the race that you think could happen, and then just rest up and yeah, hopefully be nice and relaxed. when the night starts.
What would you like to see unfold? What's the ideal scenario for him tonight?
Yes, well, look, I think the best option is to go forward and try and be ahead of Hector JJ. I think if I come back and give him the opportunity to have the first move, it would make the job hard for us. So he's our main rival, and we've got the advantage of the draw, so I think we should be going into it trying to take advantage of that.
It's now 5:30 on race day and we've made our way to Tabcorp Park, Melton. Of course, Lazarus is in the truck, he's on the way to the track. Let's go and check out his final few hours as he goes for further Group 1 glory. Mark, he seems nice and relaxed and ready to go. I suppose the question is, are you?
Yeah, oh, look, I hope so, Greg, but no, he hasn't turned a hair on the truck. He hasn't got a sweat mark on it for the heat. There is, he's done well.
What about in terms of your race plan? You've had a bit of a rest now, a bit of a time to think about things.
Yeah,
you got your number one plan in mind?
Yes, look, I'll go forward with him and see what happens. The front line is quick, there's speed there, so it'll be a case of just going out pretty quick and then just evaluating things pretty quick too, and just see where we're going to be.
We're inside an hour out from the 2017 edition of the Victoria Cup. Lazarus has got the gear on and he's looking nice and relaxed. Glennis, we're inside half an hour out from the Victoria Cup. What are the nerves like for you and, of course, your husband?
Oh, the closer we get, the more they are. They're building, yeah, no doubt about it. I try to stay calm, but it's not easy with a horse of this calibre. So, and the expectation, like the public that have come out to see him, and we just want to make sure that he actually races really well, and just hopefully puts on a good spectacle for everyone else. But hey, it's a good field, and we all know what happens in racing; it can change dramatically. So let's hope for no bad luck.
The feats are about to get underway in the Group 1 Amesbury Victoria Cup. They're set for the feature. Green light, and they're racing, and Lazarus came out running. Lazarus out wide on the track is looming up outside of Tactate, which kicks through, and Major Crocker. McDoro galloped to the start, goes back to the rear. Hector JJ galloped. Hector JJ's in a gallop into the first turn. He's going back to the rear. Major Crocker kept out Tactate. Lazarus is across to third, and the favourite rolls to the top of the 1600. Lazarus takes over. The first quarter in 29.9. Lazarus does it easily. Here come the moves. All Black Stride, and Hector JJ is making his ground up now. He's going up 3 wide, but it's Lazarus in control out of the straight. Mark Purdon going for the big 5 for the night. 27-4 off the back. Mark Purdon hasn't moved. Lazarus on top around the home turn. Oh, he's a superstar. Look at him go now. Mark Purdon's got the high five coming up. Lazarus bolts away. He's a 4-year-old. The world is his oyster. Lazarus is going to bring them. The Amesbury Victoria Cup goes to Lazarus by 10 metres. Major Crocker, career best run second. Bling It On third. Then Hector JJ, enormous.
Philip, he's only 4.
I did remind a couple of the guys out there before, you know, that we've got to remember he is only 4. And last night on the way home from board, I said to mate, do you realise he's got 4 runs in a row? You know, obviously, you know, he's a rocket scientist. I knew that he had it well sorted. But and all Mark said to me was he said he'll need the runs for it. So he's got the big one in mind at the end of February. So just fingers crossed, everything keeps going right as it has done all season for this horse. I mean, last week was the first time he had a bit of a rocky run. Most other horses would have given up the ghost at the turn with what he had to do last week. It just showed how good this boy is.
Mark, on a night that seemingly couldn't get better, it just did.
Yeah, he was just amazing, Greg. The race worked out good too, and lucky enough that he wasn't involved in anything, and got a nice run.
Yeah, nice run early, and you're able to move out, take the front, and once he got there, he was nigh on unbeatable.
Yes, the way it worked out, he was, and I mean, it's sectionals too, and you wouldn't know he's running at a record tonight, 53.8, he wasn't going to get beat.
Your third win in the race, of course you trained Brabham to win the race, and Tony drove on that occasion, young Rufus as well. What does it mean to you to get another Victoria Cup?
Oh, it's wonderful. You know, these are the races that you set the horses for, and the highlight of the racing calendar. So it's nice. It's great, and it's great to do it here.
Look, he's still got a few races to come. What's the plan from here?
Well, we go to the Bonanza next week, and then on to the Chariots of Fire. The winner of the Chariots, of course, he'll get an invitation to the Miracle Mile, and that's our goal so far.
You must be delighted the way the entire team's gone, and there's a few people who have helped you along the way, including Kerry Estridge, who you flew over earlier in the week. Yes,
well, Prince Fearless was our culprit there, and Kerry did a great job, but they all needed doing, and you just don't get a better farrier than Kerry. He's just the best. And
Mark, you've done this on New Zealand Cup Day on a couple of occasions, you and Natalie winning half a dozen races. What does it mean to win 5, an all-time record for you guys here in Australia?
Well, yeah, it's an amazing thrill, Greg, and you don't expect to come here and do these on these sort of nights. So, I feel very proud of the team that's all put it all together. Sean McNulty is great foreman, and he's done a great job here.
All right, you've won 4 as trainers, but driving one for Sam Smanitsky, providing him with his first ever Group 1 win, that must be a special thing too.
Yeah, absolutely, and felt really great for Sam to be able to do that, and because he's got harness racing on both sides of his pedigree, and I'm sure they'll be at home cheering him on tonight too, and got a great thrill as well.
I don't know what you're going to do from here. It's hard to raise the bar again.
No, I don't either, but we'll just go the way we're going and try and keep the team at this level.
Well, there you have it. A day in the life of Lazarus completed here at Tabcorp Park, Melton, at the highest level, Group 1 level in the Victoria Cup. Mark Purdon gave us incredible access to him right throughout the day, and not only did he deliver, but his horse did as well. What a champion Lazarus is. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did covering it for you, with our great support, of course, of PGG Wrightson, Harness Racing New Zealand and Brecon Farms. They've got right behind February and allowing us to have all of the shows in this month. Joined by my regulars and, of course, Craig Thompson, starting with you. The amazing 12 hours leading into a Group 1. Never before have we had that opportunity to follow a horse or a horseman like we did on Saturday.
Yeah, good evening, Gregory, and to you, Michael, as well, to the viewers sitting back on the couch taking what we saw there. And great footage, Greg, through Glenn Bourne and the team. And it was an exciting night. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I sat back there, I analysed it all. I don't take in a lot of Australian racing like you guys do, but what we saw 7 New Zealand trained horses go round for 7 victories, amassing $320,000 in stakes. And also what we did is cement what we think is probably the best horse in Australasia at the moment in Lazarus. It was great coverage, fellas, and I really enjoyed it.
Great being on course, Michael, as a Kiwi, as you were, and not only did we win those 7, Anthony Butt drove 2 winners as well, so there wasn't a lot left for the Australians. Evening to you.
Yeah, it was a big night at the office. Hi boys, and big hi to everybody, and congratulations to those who have owned or trained a winner over the summer, since we haven't seen you for 3 or 4 weeks. Well done to you. They're not all Victoria Cups, fellas, but it was the star of the show on Saturday night, Lazarus. Great footage. Nice to see how it all goes, and well done to you and Glenn, getting in there and seeing how champions prepare champions. And thanks to the connections of Lazarus, it's not just Mark, it's the owners who gave us that access, because at the moment, there's no doubts, even talking to the galloping people when you go around them, outside of Winks, he's the horse in Australasia. He's the horse everybody wants to talk about, and we got there with that inside stuff. Lots more ahead though, fellas. We'll look at the Victoria Cup shortly, but also we're going to see a lot of Lazarus in the next couple of weeks. Then we start to talk about the big questions. Where does Lazarus sit, and what happens to him over the next year or two?
And of course, not only Mark, but his staff, Sean McAnulty gave us a great insight as well. It kept us up with the timings, when the horse was going to arrive on track, etc. So big ups to you, Sean. It was much appreciated. Craig, in terms of the race itself, obviously it was significant at the start because his arch rival and his biggest threat, Hector JJ, got into a wee bit of bother.
Oh, he did. Obviously, Major Adu had a gallop at the start, and then Major Crocker went a little bit, not Major Crocker, I mean Cruz Bromac went a little bit rough early on. That allowed Lazarus to get across him early, and the biggest advantage was to get as far in front of Hector JJ as he can. Hector JJ got into a little bit of trouble early on. I don't think it would have mattered, because the way this horse dominated in front, he got to the running line pretty quickly. He was in front at the mile, and the time that he was running, Greg, it was too hard for anything to come back from the back of the field. I mean, he's won that race by 12 metres. Now, that flattered the opposition. I don't say that lightly, but that could have been 20 metres. He won a New Zealand Cup by 10 lengths. This is a superstar horse. I thought Hector JJ was good in defeat. I thought Bling It On was very good running on from back in the field, but they were lengths behind the rest, Michael Guerin. He was simply too good for them.
Yeah, and it's easy also to take Hector's gallop too much into play. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. Once Lazarus settled in front of him, this race was over. They went 152.5 for the mile rate, which would have won almost every Miracle Mile before they moved to Menangle. Would have won every Miracle Mile before they moved to Menangle. When he gets rolling in front, he's too good, fellas. So Hector JJ wouldn't have beat him. He was good. Maybe he'd get his chance in the Miracle Mile. I'm talking about the Miracle Mile. Had a long conversation with Mark after the race and said, you know, as we see him here, and he's all muscle, boys. When these good stallions get rolling, think back over the last 20 years, Christian Cullen, Courage Under Fire, El Sue, Auckland Reactor. They do just brutal things. They tear other horses apart. A lot of the big margin jobs we've seen in the last 20 years, Christian Cullen's Mile, Courage Under Fire winning those derbies and stuff, El Sue, Auckland Cup by 5 lengths, Auckland Reactor, some of their wins. The big margin jobs are the stallions. They're the ones who feel no pain. And I said to Mark, what do you make of this? 147.5 last year for Have Faith in Me. Now this horse, I think we would all agree, boys, is racing better than Have Faith in Me. I'm not saying he'll go quicker than that in the Miracle Mile, but I'm pretty sure he could. And Mark said, yeah, I think he could go 147 mile. It's sort of times we've never thought of before, fellas, and it's pretty hard to argue that if you had a rabbit in front running along on the Miracle Mile, he couldn't go those times. But again, you probably need that rabbit, and maybe this year's Miracle Mile, which happens on February the 25th, won't have that type of horse.
Very busy time for him though, Michael. He's gone Ballarat Cup, Victoria Cup, Bonanza this week where he's drawn 2, and you know, he should just turn up and win there. Then he heads to Sydney, so he could race 5 weeks in a row.
Look, he gets an easy kill here because, without being horrible and being presumptive, he gets barrier 2 in the Bonanza, and they're 4-year-olds, and they're only average 4-year-olds. He'll just brain them. It'll be a trial. So then he hits to the Chariots of Fire the week after. Now, it's a decent Chariots field, but he's better than Chase the Dream. We already know that. And Waikiki Beach hasn't quite come back. And then there's Salty Robin, who's a very good Australian horse, but he's a good 149 horse. I mean, Lazarus is probably a 147 horse, so I think he'll win that. What was crucial the other night, Craig, is we saw the first real gate speed from Lazarus. He's showing it down on the grey, but he showed serious gate speed. And if he shows that, it gives him a big tactical advantage going to Menangle. So the race of the season now, I'm thinking, is if Hector JJ can lead a Miracle Mile with his blazing gate speed and Lazarus parks up outside him and Smolder could be in play there. This is shaping as the race of the season. I do think the two races leading into that, the next two Saturdays, Lazarus will continue to clean up.
I think so, Michael. And I think we've got to put into perspective where this horse is at the moment. I mean, I'm like you at the tracks every week. I get people coming up to me and say, hey, listen, you're rating Lazarus a little bit too high. But a horse that wins a New Zealand Cup by 10 lengths. Now, when he won that New Zealand Cup, the horse Smolder ran 5th in the New Zealand Cup, was 14 lengths behind him. A month later, he's won in a Dominion Grand Final. Did he beat a great crop of 3-year-olds last season? Well, I think they were a good bunch.
Well, Classy Brigade's Frank that.
Well, Classy Brigade's now the second fastest horse ever over 2 miles in New Zealand by winning the Invercargill Cup in 3:53. He chased him home 4 times in his 3-year-old season. Classy Brigade chased the Dream, chased him home 5 times. He's winning in Australia at the moment. Greg, to be honest, you put this horse into perspective. He's only 4. Only 2 other horses have won this race on Saturday night as 4-year-olds. Sinbad Bay and Holmes DG. Holmes DG was a super horse, but this horse could be something better.
Yeah, that does raise the question, what next? I said to Mark, any chance you would go to North America? Because if you go to North America and you win something major, and he's a son of Bettor's Delight, and we're looking for a good son of Bettor's Delight to go to stud, then you become a dual hemisphere side. We've never had one go from out there. Christian Cullen tried, it didn't work. He said, no, we're not keen to go to the States. There's so much money here. That would indicate to me maybe next year they will go to Perth for the Inter-Dominion. But also, it's easy to get carried away with these moments. He's a great horse already, but Christian Cullen was just as great, if not greater, at 4. The problem is to continue on to 5 with those stallions if they start thinking of other things or they break down. He looks very sound. He looks well-mannered. Greg from that footage you and Glenn got for us. He has the potential to go on to get into the conversation alongside, and I hope it's a sacrilege, Cardigan Bay and Young Quinn and Christian Cullen. He has the potential to get there, but he's still got a long way to go. His body of work is nowhere near big enough. So hopefully on this show and on Trackside we can continue to all go through this together and see where he ends up in that conversation. But a lot of stallions have looked amazing at 4, Christian Cullen, Auckland Reactor, Al Sue at 4 and 5, but their bodies have let them down as they've got older. So let's hope that doesn't happen to him. So I'm not getting carried away as an all-time great already, but the potential and the times and the ferocity of the performances, how much he's winning by, suggests that he's heading there.
Is he the best horse in Australasia at this moment, though?
By a mile.
By a mile.
Oh, no, I'll go further. He's the best horse in the world at the moment.
Right.
He's the best harness, because they had 3 very good paces in North America last year. 2 of them have been retired. And they don't have a genuine standout, wow, look at me horse at the moment. There's no doubt this horse could go 47 at Menangle, which brings him pretty close to 46 at the Middlelands.
Right.
So he has to be at least as good as any horse in the world at the moment, in my belief.
All right, we'll park Lazarus just for a moment. We're about to take a short break, of course, with our good friends from Woodlands, and they stand sweet, Lou. When we come back, we'll have plenty more Australian action for you.
Stay tuned as after the break we check out more Kiwi Group 1 success in Australia, and yes, Mark Purdon makes another appearance.
Whilst we're away, of course, Smolder continued on his Group 1 winning way. The Ballarat Cup was his next target, and this is what he was able to achieve in the hands of Anthony Butt. And off the back of this scintillating performance, we'll hear from A. Butt.
Smolder the one to catch. Lazarus 6 metres away. Then Lenny the Shark. It's still Smolder, 100 to go. Lazarus can't get him. Smolder's going to do it again. Smolder from Lazarus. Smolder back to back in the Ballarat Cup. Smolder beat Lazarus. Lenny the Shark 3rd.
While some in Australia might have thought it was a unique occasion, you driving for Mark Purdon, it actually happened quite a lot earlier on.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. I think originally Mark started training, I used to be mostly South Island driving. So yeah, I've done a lot of winners for him over the years.
Right, you get on Smolder. He's the Inter-Dominion champion. His form, he went through the South Australian Cup, 2 Group 1s in a row. Where were your confidence levels?
Oh, I thought it'd be hard to beat. You know, I knew he had fitness on his side and he had the draw, and I was worried about Lenny the Shark coming out of the gate, and I thought if I could hold him early and lead, then he'd take a bit of running down.
What a marvellous old horse. You got the second quarter in 27 seconds when Lazarus was working very hard, and Lenny the Shark for that matter. Do you think that was the winning of the race?
Probably, yeah. Chris hunted up in the middle and got me going and made Lazarus really work to get around him. And then, then we got running, and then down the back he just felt terrific. I wanted to sort of keep working a bit, but not let Lazarus in the trail. So it was a fine line, but no, he just felt terrific.
Anthony, you got a marvellous record in the Hunter Cup. Has Smolder got a great chance of defending his title, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's the one to beat. Like, him and Lenny are clearly head and shoulders above the rest, what'll be in the race. So I guess it'll come down to draws. If Smolder, draws to lead, he'll take some beating.
So that's Anthony Bart, 32 from 64 now, Smolder, so an incredible record even going into that race. What about the association with Anthony Bart? It goes all the way back to Mark Hanover, in fact, and of course he drove Auckland Reactor for him, Party, just the list goes on and on.
Great driver in front, Anthony Bart, and he reads races so well. He just dominated that race. And also, while we were away having our break, he won the South Australian Cup, Smolder. He's turning into a remarkable horse. I feared 2 years ago, Craig, we would never see the best of Smolder. He sort of disappeared for a while and he got usurped by Have Faith in Me and a whole bunch of other horses. But he's just an amazing old horse.
He is. I mean, it was, as you said, a super drive. He ran 27 quarter in the last 3 quarters of that race, and that was when Lazarus was moving in the running. So around Ballarat, fantastic old horse by Courage Under Fire. This week, Michael, he's to the second row. So Anthony said in that interview, hopefully he'll get a good draw. He didn't get that, but what's in his favour is his main rivals drawn outside him.
Yeah, I think 2 on the second row is never a bad draw, and he follows out All Black Stride, who's pretty quick off the gate. Most importantly, Lenny the Shark's outside of the second line. Unfortunately for Barry Purdon and the crew, Hug the Wind's also the second line. I thought that Smolder would punch through behind All Black Stride and get in front of Lenny the Shark. I can't see anything else happening. Bling It On looks the most likely early leader, fellas. Well, we know Bling It On is more than likely to hand up. So I think there's a really good chance Smolder rolls to the front in this race, and on what we saw there and we've seen over the summer, it's going to take a hell of a horse to beat him. But it's a bizarre situation. If Smolder wins the Hunter Cup, he might marginally be the favourite for Horse of the Year over Lazarus, which sounds preposterous, but his body of work. Ballarat Cup, Group 1, South Australia Cup, Group 1, Inter-Dominion Final, Group 1, and of course he would have won the Hunter Cup. So he actually would have won more big races than Lazarus, but it's a conversation for another day.
Incredible time for the connections as well, the Kennards. So 1 week they roll up with Lazarus, won the Victoria Cup, the next week with Smolder, and of course Neil Pilcher involved with Smolder as well. So he's having a great time. Michael, he's also 7th on the all-time earners list.
Could be a lot higher after this week.
Yeah, could be.
The Kennards donate some of the money they win from Smolder to a trust in Australia, because one of the other owners of Smolder, they lost their son, which was a terrible thing, and Smolder races with his name, his memory of his name on the colours. Look, it's an amazing story. It's not finished yet. It's incredible to think that he could well go to the Miracle Mile and take on Lazarus, but yeah, it's a feel-good story, I think.
Speaking of feel-good stories, was there more so one than this one? The story of Sonny Ruby, of course, the Dullard Cup, and Sam Smolenski taking a horse to Australia in his own right for the first time, decided to put Mark Purdon on board, and this is what unfolded.
By quite a moment, 3 up the Boss Man, then Illawong Helios, Sky Petite, and here's Sonny Ruby on the inside. The Boss Man hit the lead. It's the Boss Man from a wall of horses. Sonny Ruby getting through late. Sonny Ruby, Purdon's done it again. Sonny Ruby on the inside has grabbed the Boss Man right on the line.
Sam, although it's not your first Group 1 with this horse, it is as the trainer.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great thrill, especially winning one over here.
What about the decision to come over? She's been well travelled in recent times. You probably wouldn't have thought that when she was a 2-year-old, because she was pretty hot back then.
Oh yeah, she's been at David Butcher's for a while and he's got her nice and relaxed, so she's really thrived on the trip.
What about the inspiration to put Mark Purdon on, the magic man with the reins tonight?
Oh yeah, he's the man. Yeah, he's just in fine form and he's a great driver.
What did you think during the run? Because once he was able to drop in the trail, we've seen her so potent in that position in the past.
Yeah, I thought once she got the trail, I thought she'd be very hard to beat. I was just hoping we had her ready, but he got her held up a wee bit, but I was sweating a wee bit, but no, she got the job done.
All right, you get a Group 1 this week. It's not even the main mission. Next week was always the goal.
Yeah, well, I said to Mark, look after her for next week, so she didn't seem to take much out of her, so we'll hopefully have a bit of luck next week.
He's a young trainer with an amazing pedigree, of course, grandson of Fred Fletcher and JW Smolenski, so he's bred to be good. This horse is very good, gone over $250,000 now, Michael, and incidentally, Sam and Maria's wife have just purchased a new property, so this couldn't be happening to them at a better time.
I had a really good talk to him. This was the most important and fun one of the night for me. It wasn't the biggest race, Craig, but young guy, 32 years old, establishing himself. He brings his first ever starters in a Group 1 and it wins. Not to detract from the performance. It was only a short margin, but to get into the passing lane and lose momentum and go again was a massive win. They don't often do that at Melton. She's a wonderful mare. David Butcher gets back on this week for the Great Southern Star, and that's good loyalty. They could have kept Mark on because Mark doesn't have a drive in the race. And look, she's got a chance, but she's drawn the outside of the second line. If they really burn up, Greg, I would have thought that's not a disaster for her.
No, if she can get the right sort of run into it.
Get the right sort of run home, but what is not so advantageous is the fact, Craig, that Speeding Spurs drawn barrier 5, and we knew how good he was at Alexandra Park last week, and if he runs to the front, you don't want to be giving him 12 lengths.
No, you don't, and the secret of that race was her to get the trail. It was a lovely drive. She got from barrier 5 into the trail. We'll have a look at the start of the race, and Mark Purdon just had enough gap inside the first 200 metres as we pick up the start here. Katie Muscles comes out quick from 2, and Mark sums it up very quickly here. On Thunder Road wasn't getting out fast enough to hold the trail. Mark gets into that gap, and that was the winning and losing of this race. Probably what he didn't anticipate was inside the last 300 metres, Katie Muscles wasn't getting him to the lane, as Michael said. The momentum was stopped, but she still had that speed that she showed in her Jewels and also at Alexandra Park over Christmas time, that she can get up and go very quickly over 100 metres, and she did this in this race. A couple of very unlucky runners out of the race on Thunder Road. The draw beat him, Michael, back on the fence. Got off at the right time, but ran out of room and galloped late. I thought Great Things Happen was quite good out of this race, 3 wide the entire race. There was a lot of runs out of the race that you could make cases for going into this week. Unfortunately, with Sunny Ruby, she's drawn outside of the second row, and also Great Things Happen's drawn the second row as well.
I'll tell you who else was outstanding. Quite a moment.
Yeah, super. She's had no luck. Cambridge, she had no luck sitting parked, and she's racing as well as I've ever seen Quite a Moment race. She could actually be the smoky this week. It's hard for Lance Justice following in from training on the back of the Hopes, who do such a good job with her, but 2,700 metres will suit her. She's around $18, I think, in Australia. It's big money. You know, she's got a chance in the race too. So Sunny Ruby. So they've been abandoned because of the barrier draws and Speeding Spurs taking all that. Interesting, talking to Sam Smolenski, I talked about, is this going to be a leapfrog for your career? He said, to be honest, I'm probably going to step back from the training and train 6 to 8 horses because my chiropractic work with the horses is so important to me. And he tells me he does all the All-Stars chiropractic work. So he goes there and bends horses and stretches them and does stuff. And it seems to work. Ironically, he said, I don't need to do that to Sunny Ruby. Interesting conversation with Sam. He said, the good horses don't need it as much. They're better put together and they're stronger. It's the weaker horses that you need to bend around a little bit. So a fascinating interview sometime to talk to him about it more at length.
I reckon we might be able to find some footage of that too, because Lazarus did a really big stretch for us as we arrived, and they just look after themselves. I can relate to that. Yeah,
I would know I don't.
You haven't had to? Right, moving on to the Derby heats, and Kiwi domination continued, of course. Let's get through these. Look, a really good performance this, Michael. B-Jack's legend had to do a power of work, more work than any other horse in the race, and he was too strong.
And Zach didn't panic. Really brave decision by Barry Purdon to take this horse over. He planned to go 2 or 3 weeks ago when Ultimate Bichetti was still on the market, and More the Better, and Vincent. Barry said, look, it'll be good for him. And it is good for him. He's won money, and he's now second favourite for the final.
And he's probably rated the 3rd or 4th best New Zealand 3-year-old heading towards Australia, behind obviously this horse, Vincent, Ultimate Machete, and More the Better. So he justified the trip and got, what, $11,500.
He went a 55-mile rate. This guy, he went 54.6. Had to pull 4 wide in the early stage of the race to get round to park. Have a look at this.
Is this a star on the rise? Well, it mightn't be
I'm not sure Ultimate Machete would go any better. I think Ultimate Machete must be a best 3-year-old. It's hard to argue he's not, because this horse hasn't beaten good horses yet, but gee, Craig, that was...
Well, he's the late bloomer, and what it showed out of that race, he was significantly the fastest heat of those 3 heats, and he went way quicker than Have Faith in Me later on in the evening. This was a nice performance. Motu Media, he's just ranked below the best of the Purdon runners, but he got the right trip to win this race. He's drawn awkwardly come the final.
His last quarter 26.4 and significantly slower, 57.3 mile rate. But hey, you can only win, and he did that very easily. But yeah, I think Vincent's in a different sort of stratosphere.
He's going to need to be. He's drawn 1 on the second line. Had he drawn the front line for the final, he's $1.05, and it's almost a little bit pointless, and that makes it interesting. 1 on the second line, so the All-Stars have a policy when they draw 1 on the second line, they like to punch through and not concede that ground. They made that decision with the Dormy in the Ladyship a couple of years ago where they pulled back up, so the Queen of Hearts. I think they've got to pull back. I mean, these horses aren't his class. Pull back, go around them. He's going to need to work here, fellas. He's drifted out to $1.50 with some of the bookies. I still think he'll win, but he's going to need to be enormously better than them.
All right, let's hear from our Kiwi-based winning drivers. Zachy deserved the opportunity to come over here off the back of some great Kiwi performances, and tonight he had to be very good.
Yeah, he did. You know, they're going 240 and he stuck to his guns. He was 3 wide the last lap, and he's such a lovely horse that he just relaxed out there and he didn't over-race when he did get out there. And you know, he always sort of felt like I had them at the top of the straight. He had a lot of kick left in him, and you know, he got the line well, and I think he'll improve with that.
With that improvement, he'll need to, because there's some quality 3-year-olds going into the final.
Yeah, dead right. You know, Vincent's going to be pretty hard to beat, but you know, if you're not in it, you can't win it, and a lot of it comes down the draws, and he's got gate speed, so if he draws well, he's going to put himself right in a big race.
Mark, the rise of Vincent just continues to go.
Yeah, it does, Greg. I mean, tonight you wouldn't have thought they'd run that time just by the feel of him, but just when I pulled the plugs just after we turned in, he just put it beyond doubt.
Look, he didn't get any favours early on either. He had to pull 4 wide to get around to the park position, but gee, he's really developing into a top-class 3-year-old.
Yes, yeah, and he's just such a lovely horse to drive, and he's with you all the way. There's no nonsense with him, no pulling, or just works with you. So he's going to be very, very hard to beat next week.
Yeah, and the injury at 2 may well prove to be a blessing in disguise. It appears that way now.
Yes, it certainly does. Like, he's going to roll into this derby as a hot favourite, and he's got all the future in front of him.
Well, conversely to Vincent, you had a barrier draw to work with this guy.
Yes, he got a lovely trip and capitalised on that, Greg.
Mark, he appears to be better in his gait or more comfortable. Is that a fair assessment?
It is, Greg, yes. He handled himself well tonight, didn't give me any concerns, so I was pleased with the way when the gap came, the way he dashed through and took the lead.
Right, he showed some real squirt up the passing lane. I guess now the question is who might drive it. You got some thinking to do, you and Natalie, in that front.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we'll see what plans out, but I'll touch base with Merv Butterworth over the weekend and see what he picks.
So that's Mark Purdon obviously talking about his 2 winners. I thought the big improver might be the Breeders' Crown winner, our little general. I think he's got a nice draw.
The best 3-year-old in Australia is not there, the Storm inside. He's just better than the other ones. Yep. So look, our little general will improve, and Rapper's Delight's got barrier 1. I think he'll settle handy to the marker pegs, but I think if Vincent has to come around them and sit parked, he'll have to put them to the sword, and if he does that, I think it aids the New Zealand horses. B-Jack's Legion's a pretty good stayer, Craig. I think he'll follow that speed, so there's going to be a lot of moves. It should be a really interesting derby, and it wouldn't have been an interesting derby if Vincent had just run straight to the top.
All right, of course, the All-Stars also had success the day before at Bort, of all places, with Prince Fearless. Yeah. Incidentally, on him, flying over the farrier, amazing what Mark Purdon, the lengths he'll go to. But to look at all of the horses, but in particular, Kerry Estridge came over to look at Prince Fearless and work the Oracle.
Yeah, and they haven't gone to the Great Southern Star. They've gone to a support trot this week. Also, most importantly, missing from the Great Southern Star, Keystone Dell.
Yeah.
Get the feeling the writing's on the wall for the old horse. He's had an amazing career, but they're missing some pretty big targets with him now.
All right, the Kiwis got off to a flyer with a really talented mare. We know she's won a Harness Jewels Rocker Band, but she's now gone even quicker here, Craig, just over 52.3 it was, and 2 minutes flat out for the 17.20. We'll just get to Zach Butcher before getting a comment from you.
Through late, the New Zealand mare's coming with a run. Beach Boy Adios grabbed by Rocker Band. Rocker Band has sizzled through on the inside, and with the colours made famous by Courage Under Fire, Rocker Band takes the first.
Zach, she's a quality mare. You had to drive her for luck and she got some.
Yeah, it was really good. We got the split at the top of the straight and they went hard enough that we were going to pick them up. You know, she's got a lot of speed and went our way, so we're pretty excited.
What about during the run? Did you feel like you were going that quick? 52.2 mile rate. She already had a great mile time, but she's even bettered that now.
Yeah, I'm going to say I must be a bad judge. They must have the track pretty spot on, because I didn't think we were rolling, but I didn't think we were flying, you know, going that sort of speed. But she just felt so good, you know, the whole way through the run until we got the lane that I guess if they're travelling like that, you don't think you're going as quick as what you are. So it's a pretty nice feeling to have.
She's got a decent future over here because you can place her so nicely, and Barry's clearly thought of that.
Yeah, dead right, you know, and she'll head up to Sydney more than likely after this. She's got the mile next week and she looks really well for it, so everything's looking pretty good for her at the moment. If she draws front line, she's going to be pretty hard to beat.
You're well liked over here, as we can see by Lance Justice. Yeah, that was a humorous moment. Give him a tickle up with the stick there, which won't happen in the not too distant future.
There's a few that do that at Alexandra Park, but it's not on a humorous side.
No, what about 11 from 33 now?
Well, she's a very good mare. And the writing was on the wall when she went to Australia. I mean, she raced so well through the Christmas period at Alexandra Park. Do you remember her last start at Cambridge? She chased home Chase the Dream and the Futurity, all beaten a fair margin. She's racing great. Passing lane seemed an awful long time away in this race, and only a horse with really high speed could have got up there and won, Michael Guerin. Unfortunately, this week she's drawn the outside of the gate, and her main rival, Piccadilly Princess, is drawn inside her.
Yeah, 17.20 outside of the gate. She probably doesn't have blazing gate speed to get across the Piccadilly Princess, but look, again, to take her over there for the right races. She'll head to Menangle and try and qualify for the Ladyship Mile, which she would do if she won this week. No reason to think she can't become a 151, 150.8, something in that region sort of horse, which when you take them to stud, harness jewels winner, 151 horse, it all helps. If you think I'm kidding about that, yesterday, a horse called Millwood Liberty, just a decent old horse, time trialled at Menangle sub 150. Lovely old mare. Liberty Bell Midfru, who won the big race here last year, she raced there yesterday in a $8,000 race, went 152.5. So these horses' times are getting so quick by going to these Australian tracks. It does raise a question, story for another day, is the 2-minute black type thing just farcical? Seriously?
It's almost 155 now.
I looked at the sales category the other day. Sales are coming up in a couple of weeks. Going to be great fun. We're going to love it. But black type, some horses have pages of black type from the mare because something went 159.2 at Invercargill. Is that really worth black type?
Well,
really?
we saw it over the Christmas period, didn't we? 31st of December at Alexandra Park. The 2-year-olds are going 154. I mean, we haven't even hit the first of the new year.
Hold the phone. Shane Tritton had a 2-year-old on debut yesterday at Menangle at 152.8.
Formerly trained by Mark Jones and by Tintin and America.
Yes. So why do we have the fact that you can win a Group 1 race to get black type, or you can go 159.9 at Ashburton, which you and I'll be a chance of running, especially now you're a bit slimmer. and really, is that worth black type? Let's get this farcical situation out of the way, maybe make the paces 156, and there'll be breeders to say, but what about my breed? But we're not kidding anybody.
No.
I looked at the sales catalogue. I've looked at every horse in the sales catalogue. I read every page to see what was going in there. And I looked at some of the families and thought, this is ridiculous. How's that got black type?
No, fair point, and we can have a decent discussion about that potentially at another time. The forgotten horse of Australasian harness racing is Have Faith in Me, of course. Hadn't won since that wonderful Miracle Mile in 47.5. He didn't beat a field of great depth here, Michael, but he was still very good.
Beat the Westport Cup winner.
Yes.
Maximum. Look, I don't think we're going to see the best of him again. We all know the kidney story. He's had a kidney issue. I'm not sure if it's dented his confidence, Greg. The most salient point out of this is they decided not to pay up for the Hunter Cup.
Yeah.
So he's not going as good. And to be honest, if he goes towards a Miracle Mile, Craig, does he have any chance at the moment of being Lazarus? Start of the year, hand up, I was picking him to win the New Zealand Cup. I thought he was the best horse in Australasia. Lazarus has gone that way, and he's gone that way.
Yeah. It was a confidence booster for him.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, two things out of the race. He got round safely. He didn't have a gallop. He probably paced a little bit better, albeit significantly slower than Lazarus did on the night. But he goes to a race this week, boys, where he meets similar field, Maxi Man again, and it'll be another confidence builder. He'll probably win there. He should do. He's out of the draw again. It's only a small field, 1,700, Michael, but it looks a race he'll win again.
But one thing I would say is Smolder was in the wilderness for a couple of years. He had issues, and he was in, so they can come back. But point blank, do the people at home or do you boys want to back him to beat Lazarus anytime soon? No. It's extremely hard to make that case.
Okay, we had significant racing in Sydney, of course, at Menangle, where the focus after Melton this week will be. This was the Paleface Adios, Michael, the automatic qualifier for the Chariots of Fire, and of course Waikiki Beach was looking to get back into something like his best.
Unplaced, again, that's him coming down the outside. I thought he was very good in fourth, but he's not as dominant as he was. And at Menangle, if you're not screwed right down, you're in trouble. He had a gut buster the week before. They burned him off the gate in 25 and change, and I think it undid him. He hasn't had a good start to his preparation. Now, Nat's over there with the horse. He's qualified for the Chariots of Fire, but I think he's lost a length or two, not only on Lazarus, of course, but on this horse. Let's Chase the Dream, also qualified for the Chariots of Fire. Breaks 150 here, which puts him 10 seconds under black type. Won't go into it again. He's obviously in form, Greg. This week, he takes on Dream About Me in the Brian Hancock Cup, and Natalie is driving this horse, and Shane Graham is driving Dream About Me, who's got barrier 10. Now, Dream About Me, Auckland Cup winner, Champion Mare will be the hot favourite for that race. She's going to need to be awfully darn good, fresh up for a month to beat Chase the Dream.
All right, we've got some graphics here about the All-Stars team. I think Greg Hayes was the man who put this together.
I really enjoyed working with Hazy the other day. It was a fun night to work at the office. Greg, what about this?
Incredible.
So
5,772,000 from 179 starters, and if you line up, you get 32,000 in those colours.
Well, I think the statistic that they were saying during the coverage, I only picked it up, Michael, too, that he's won more races this year in Australia than he has won in New Zealand, Mark Purdy.
Well, it was
this year, I'm talking from the 1st of January to
something
today.
like in the last 2 years, 140 starters for like 75 wins. So the strike rates, which are just incredibly disproportionate. I mean, you're talking something that Aidan O'Brien couldn't do, or obviously Chris Waller, and I know they're in far bigger pools. And we're not going to get into it because there's some people who don't like to hear about it anymore. So we'll leave it at that. But let's just say, decent old weekend.
Yep, certain weekend. It certainly was. We're going to take a short break, of course. We're with Sweet Louie stands at Woodland Stud and our other supporters throughout February. When we come back, domestically, we'll head down south.
What a few weeks it's been. Don't touch that dial. The Box Seat team is back soon to bring you up to date with all the harness headliners.
Let's head straight to Invercargill. It was Cup Day down there, and Blair Orange's amazing run in this race continued. 6th win for him. Classer Brigade made it 4 in a row, Craig Thompson, including 3 cups.
Yeah, he's having a great run, isn't he, Classer Brigade? And Nigel McGrath too, because he had 3 in the race. He was placed with Maverick as well. That's him getting past Captain Dolmia. Pretty game, Captain Dolmia. We know we saw him through the Cup week. He's a good horse in front. 353.5, a hell of a run. Never think we'd saw that sort of time at Invercargill, Greg. But yeah, really good race, and there'll be plenty of form come out of it.
Let's be fair, if he was in the New Zealand Cup,
well,
he would have finished probably...
fastest, yeah, I mean, only Lazarus has gone quicker.
Staggering run. Thought very brave Captain Dolmio. He's clearly going to be a force.
Well, yeah, just also with Blair Orange, I mean, 92 wins for the season. I mean, we're going to highlight Ken Barron's milestone very shortly, but I think Blair's chasing 4 100 or more wins in successive seasons. He's having a hell of a run.
Yep, he certainly is. Next up, Summer Cup for that horse, Classy Brigade. He'll probably go to the Easter Cup. No jewels for him. Nigel wants to set him for the New Zealand Cup. All right, we've been away for a month, as you know, so we've got some headlines for you. And we start with the domination of the Duns at the Seddon District. Gee, they were amazing, as they have been over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So 22 races there at Nelson, and 8 of those John drove to win, and Robert trained half a dozen of those, and then they went to Blenheim. There were only 8 races each day there, and they won 6 races driving wise and training wise. So yep, they continued on a terrific record in recent times. Other milestones: Ken Barron trained his 500th winner with Runaway 3. That was a terrific performance by him. Of course, things have changed, training now with his brother, but it'll continue on, and he's been a great trainer for such a long period now. Steve McNally got his 400th winner. That crept up on him, I'm sure. That was Ultimate Fella at Forbury Park for Brent White, who he's had such a great association with. Nikki Chilcott Your girl, the lady that you've sponsored for what, 20 years?
Too bloody long, to be honest. She's costing me a fortune, but good on Nick. Yeah, she had 400 training wins, and she's only 2 off driving 600. She's on 598. Good on a horse called Everything. They
Won again on the Sunday?
Absolutely, and will do a good job on the circuit, I think, being aimed at the grass track final.
All right, significant loss to the breeding industry. Michael, Mark III passing away.
Yeah, poor old fella. Found in the paddock with a broken leg, and Graham Henley and the boys at Alabar were just shattered by that. You know, it's hard. The horse had been going there for 11 years, and it was his last year as a shuttle stallion. He was going to come live here. He'll be buried on the farm, of course. Best known here as the sire of Sir Lincoln, but of course Auckland Reactor, who was such a rave horse. But best known worldwide as the sire of Some Beach Somewhere, one of the all-time greats. There'll be a lot of Mark IIIs and Mark III mares for years to come, but it must have been heartbreaking for the boys and girls at Alabar. So our thoughts are with you. It's hard to lose any horse, terrible thing, but he was a great horse.
One that did return, of course, was a Speeding Spur and a brave performance off the 55.
Very hard to win off 55 at Auckland, and he came up slightly short. I thought it was a very good run, building confidence towards Australia, and obviously come through the round very well. He's drawn barrier 5 this week. I thought he made up good ground, but big ask to come off a long mark. I think, Michael, I looked at him going through the parade ring. You were there on Thursday evening. He needed that run. He will significantly be better this week.
Smart plan, though, going to the Great Southern Star, 300k, Greg, and they're not a strong bunch.
No, they certainly are not. The McMullen-Reid combination has parted their ways, but Simon's turned up at Harcourt Lodge.
Yeah, Simon's gone home for family reasons, and everybody needs to respect that. But it's hard for Reid, man, because they were such a good partnership. Simon's a really intelligent guy who plans things really well. So look, we'll miss him in the north. He's a very popular person in northern harness racing, but he'll be around the trap. So I'm sure he's the sort of guy who will return north at horses in the future.
Great addition to the Paul Court team, though. I'm sure they'll do a great job. Rachel Holmes, congratulations, had her first winner, Prime Silver, and Kelly Duncan with Totoko Kid, the grey horse winning. So
yeah. Over, I think it was about $181 on fixed odds. Couldn't miss him winning a race at Banks Peninsula, but came as a surprise to most.
All right, Moment of Truth winning again at 14, and Silver Stream winning at 12. There's no end in sight for those trotters at this stage.
Also, just on people who are doing good in harness racing, Tim Vince, 8 starters, 8 runners in the last 2 weeks, Greg, 7 winners and an unlucky runner in the Thames Cup. So there's a guy that's kicking a few goals.
And he's improving horses off good trainers.
Well, he's getting horses that are claimers and reaching their marks, and he's doing a good job.
They're coming from good trainers. So
Monet beat Speeding Spur. There's one at Alexandra Park last Thursday.
He keeps on winning.
So, Could have got long odds this time last year. Monet beating Speeding Spur in any race.
You certainly could. What about coming up on track for you? Thursday night we're at Forbury Park. There's $25,000 pick 6 there, 11 race card, and a similar pick 6 at Cambridge. We've got to talk about pick 6s one day. Wonder if
they should be bigger.
Yeah, they should be bigger, or whether they're heading out the back door. Who knows? Big day at Ashburton on Saturday. Be lucky enough to be there. Teltrack Communications Sapling Stakes and the Newman's Band at Hambletonian. I will be there.
Are you working?
And it's not a Group 1 day, so that'll upset Mark Mack and Matt Cross. Hunter Cup night will be quite big at Melton. You'll be there, Michael.
Yeah, look, bizarrely, the New Zealanders are favoured to win 5 more Group 1s.
Yeah.
So we'll be there with heaps of coverage, and we'll talk about it next week. But look, hopefully you can join us on Saturday night. It's going to be amazing. The next 3 Saturday nights afterwards, huge racing coming out of Menangle. Don't forget, Auckland Cup winner Dream About Me at Menangle on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, get involved in the quaddie there. Mark Purdon drove it on Saturday night.
And Party On, who won while we were away on our break, also this week at Menangle as well. So
I'm heading to Amberley on Monday. They had nominations, Craig.
220?
Yeah, amazing. It might even be more than that.
They said they're struggling for numbers, but there's plenty down south.
So you missed the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'll miss the Super Bowl, Michael. What about our box seat bets of the week this week? This is what the boys have gone for. Craig Thompson's found Simple Pleasure. That's part of the big day on Sunday out of Wyndham. You're with Let's Chase the Dream.
Almost went with the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, but Rob Gronkowski's not playing because he's injured, so I went for Let's Chase the Dream against Dream About Me.
Just on that Simple Pleasure, there's a horse in that race there called Pavarotti. Take the Quinella with that.
All right, there's your Quinella for you, and I think a Piccadilly Princess drawn inside Rocker Band. That might be the difference.
I've got a question for you. Spent the day with Mark Purdon pre-Lazarus. Did you learn anything?
I probably learnt that his attention to detail was even beyond what I thought it was. Not just the way he trains the horses across the board, but as he said in that interview, he treats them all as individuals, and what he feels the horse needs this week it might not need next week.
Because I see him, he's cantering on race morning in that coverage, but you say he doesn't do it every morning, so he does some other pre-race mornings, he works them differently.
And every horse is different. He just gets a feel for them and decides what to do. Now, that clearly is the difference between a good trainer and a great trainer, for mine anyway, so that's what I learn.
Okay.
All right.
Next 4 Saturday nights are going to be massive, but of course we've got plenty of great stuff racing around the country too. So as I said, it's really easy for us, and particularly me because I'm travelling so much, and you were on the weekend too, to get carried away with this thing. But a lot of people out there had their maiden win, you know, their C1 win somewhere. So well done to you over the summer. Those horses take just as much work. So, you know, good on you if you were lucky enough to do that.
And also with trainers, busy time for them because we've got the sales coming up, Greg. We're not that far
Bus
away.
trips
absolutely.
around.
Tour sales.
Are you popping along?
I'll be having a look, Michael.
No, are you popping along with a little...
Well, we'll see.
Yep, the finger might be going up.
The fin might go up there, Michael.
Well,
yes,
the fin would be good. And of course, PGG Rights, and they're part of our sponsorship team. Good luck to them over the next few weeks. Brecon Farms, over the next 2 weeks, will profile some of their best lots, and they've got a cracking draft, Michael.
Yeah, the catalogue at Auckland, massive. The whole catalogue's great. It's superb. So it's a wonderful time of year, and good luck to everybody. And the weather's turned now. It's good. With those yearlings, if the weather gets hot, they can turn and their coats really come on. The summer was quite back. You know, some of the yearlings were backward a month ago, but exciting time for you guys. So good luck. Fingers crossed that something goes well.
Yeah, if you want a Mach 3, last of the Mach 3s going around at the sales this year. So I understand there's no more frozen semen. So if you want to get one at the sales.
All right, that's been your box seat. Nice to be back. We'll be back in 7 days' time. Enjoy your harness racing week ahead.